Hi and welcome to the second CodeIgniter Screencast. My name's Elliot Hoffin and you can find my website at hoffin.com. That's HAUGHIN.com. I also own FilePanda, which is a file sharing website. You can find that at filepanda.com. Now, this week we're going to be moving on from what we did last time, and here's kind of the site as it was last time we left it. The only difference is I've added some styling, as you might notice, up at the top in the header, the footer, and the text is different. So let me just show you what I've done on the site. So the first thing that I've changed is the header and the footer. I've just put in here a few divs and a style sheet. Now, the style sheet links to base URL /static/style, and all I've done is in the top level. Let me just minimize these down so it's easier to see it. So now we've got application, system, and static, and that's where that's relative to. So as you can see there, style/stylesheet.css. I've added just a small amount of CSS in there to format the style sheet. Opened up a few divs, and then in the footer I closed them divs and I've wrote down which one's which. So the style is really simple, and that will go right through the site now. So if I go to about us, our company, so we have that all the way through the site now. So first things first, let's get on to the routing that I was talking about last time. Now, if I have a look in routes.php, you can see here that at the moment we have two installed modules. We have news and blog. So when we go to /news, that will get sent to the news controller. And the same with blog, except we haven't got a blog controller set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now dynamically build this array. So what I'm going to do is, to start off with, we'll leave this just how it is. I'm just going to comment it out, because we might need to get that back later on. So now that's commented out, let's start on doing this. So first things first, we need to open the directory that our controllers are in. So what I'm going to do is this, in the controllers directory, I'm going to get it to loop through every file and list it and build an array with it. So then that way, as soon as I add a new file into controllers, such as I don't know, admin or something like that, or I might have a gallery, then it'll automatically set up the routes for that. So what I'm going to do is say handle equals open dir, and then this is the path for the directory. Now, because CodeIgniter set some defines when we start off with, I can use one of them right now. So I'm just going to use app path, which is the application path, and then just controllers /. Now, once I've done that, down here I'll need to close dir handle once I've finished with it. Let me just see if that's how that's coming along. So we have no errors, which is a good sign. Now what do I need to do? I need to set up a while loop that loops through all the contents of the directory. So I'm just going to do while something something something. So what I need to do is I need to use the read file directory. So while file is read file handle, then do that. And then install modules. Is whatever the file is. Then under here I'm just going to print out the array that we've built up there. So I'm just going to say for every single file in the directory, add that into this installed modules array, and then once we've finished, print it out. Now I don't think this will work because you need to add a false test in there. I think you've got to do where false is not equals. It's a kind of two-part test, I think. Let me just test that. read dir maybe. That's better. It's read dir, sorry. So as we can see here, all we've done is we've said while file false it is not file read dir. I don't know why you have to do it like that, you just do. So what we've got here is a nice listing of all the different files in our directory, but it's also listed dot and dot dot, so that's the current directory and the directory above it, and we don't want the index.html either, and we don't want pages. So I'm going to use the inArray function here, so I'm just going to Google it. Let me just do this. Exclude is an array, so I'm going to set up an array of files that we don't want to be counted in our little root calculation thing. So first of all, we're going to have dot, we're going to have dot dot, and we're going to have index.html, and we're going to have pages.php. Now what I can do is I can test for that here. I can say if something, then we add it into the installed modules. So we only add it if a condition is true, and the condition that we're going to do is we're going to say only add it if it's not in the exclude. If in array, so that's how we do it. So we say if exclamation mark, which means not, it's like the opposite. If it's not in the array, if the file is not in the exclude array, then add it to that module, that install modules array. Now when we refresh, we should just have the one file use.php. So that's great, except for one small problem. It's adding .php, which we need to get rid of. So installed modules is currently just the file name. I'm going to say that, let me think how I'm going to do it. Should I do a replace or substring? I'll just do str replace for now, which isn't the most effective. In fact, I'll do a substring command instead. So I'm just going to Google the substring command for PHP. I want to take off the last 4 characters. -1 1. I think that's it. So we have a using a negative start, so we do -3. Okay. So what I do is I'm going to say that installed modules is a substring of the file, and I'm gonna -4 characters off the end. Now when we refresh that, oh no, I've just realised what I've done. I've got the wrong way around. I've only put the 4 characters on. I need to take 1 character off. So yeah, what I need to do, so I'm going to start at character 0, and then I'm going to do it the length of the string -4. So what I'm going to do is, just so we have the word, just so we have news.php, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take part of the name, and I'm going to do it from the full length of it, which in this case is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 characters, and then I'm going to minus off the length of characters 4, so that will give us the first 4 characters, which is NEWS, news. So that's how that substring function works. I'll look like a pro if it doesn't work now. Oh, there we go. So nice and simple. That is news. Now it might seem a bit over the top, all this, just for getting a list of the installed modules, but it's brilliant because look what I can do now. Let's just get rid of the die statement out of there. There. So now all I have to do is just go /news, and because the controller's there, it's going to route it to the right place. Now let's just put in the word /admin. Currently, that'll get sent to our pages module, which is producing the 404 error. But just say we actually have an admin controller. Sorry, I'm really going to have to run downstairs and plug this in. Give me 1 second because I can't stop recording, sorry. Sorry, I really should have thought about this before recording. I need to plug this in, otherwise it's going to run out. And I don't know how to pause the program, so I'm not going to risk doing it. Oh, there we go, right, and plugged back in. I'm very sorry about that, it's most unprofessional. But hey, it's only a screencast, right. So I'm going to create the file admin.php, and inside of here I'm just going to put in a basic controller. So I'm going to say class admin extends controller and function admin parent controller. That's it. So now when I go to /admin, just because I've added the file in there, it'll get routed to the admin section. Really handy, very, very, very useful. And the best bit is it works with subdirectories too. So if I just say I want a new folder, I'm going to call that admin, and I'm going to put that inside of there, and I'm going to rename it to admin/pages.php. Need to change this to pages. Then, if we got admin/pages, that should work. Why is it not working? I think it's because I've got /pages on it. Let me have a look. Route/ anything is that/that. I'm sure I had this working last time. Maybe it's not actually being added into the array of files. Let me just check. Last time I practiced this, I'm sure that that it did it. So let me just do. I think it's not adding the directory for some reason. It's just reading A. Why is it only reading A? So for some reason. I see. What I've done here is I'm cutting the last 4 characters off. So instead of it being admin/, it's cutting them 4 characters off, which is where I get A from. So I need to do another little if statement here. So I need to say if it's not a directory, and then I also need to do addPath.controllers. So I need to say, if it's not a directory, then we're going to do a substring. So just there reference the full path to the file. Hopefully it won't chop it down. Oh, I know what I need to do. At the moment it only adds it if it's not a directory, so I need to say file is the substring, then we add the file. So what I do is, if it's not a directory, then I do a modification to the file name here, and then I just add it to the file. So even if it is a directory, it just doesn't do this step and it still adds it. Hopefully. Yep, there we go. So that's where our problem was. Let me just comment that out so we can carry on like normal. Admin, so all of a sudden we get to the pages admin. I'm not sure how, but it does. It somehow manages to get to here. Maybe It's just something to do with the way CodeIgniter works, but I think if you do admin/pages, you'll get the same thing. If you've got admin/pages/view, we should have the same thing again. Okay, I don't know why it's... Oh, of course, I'm dying straight away on the top. What it should do is show 404 with CodeIgniter message, because we don't have the function view. Whereas if I add in here function view, we should get that through. So this routing is really good because all I have to do is add a folder and a file, and straight away we're getting everything through like we should do. So that's a bit about the dynamic routing that I wanted to do, and I'll put the files online as they are when I finish this screencast. What was the next thing I wanted to do on here? Styling. Yeah, move the pages to a model. Now let me just close down some of this. I don't want the style sheet anymore, or the header and footer, all this. So if we go back to the normal pages controller, one thing that we notice is the pages here runs this it runs this database query that gets the that gets the page based on the path that we're accessing. So if we go to about us, what it does is it looks through the database for where the path is what we've typed in there. Now I'm going to move this over to a model base, and I'll show you how that works now. So in the model view controller, we're missing the step of a model here, so I'm just going to create one. So in the models directory, I'm going to create one called pages_model. And I'm just going to do class pages extends model function pages parent model. Now this is just the same way as you set up a controller, really, very, very similar. And I'm just going to create, for now I'll just save that as it is. So just an empty model. Now in the top of the pages controller, in the constructor, I need to load the model up. So I'm just going to do this, load model pages model. Then I'm going to give it a nice name, which is just page, very simple. And I'm going to set the third parameter to true, which means that it's going to send all the database connection information through to the pages model. Now when we refresh the page, it should work, hopefully. No, why is it not working? This load model pages underscore model. No, pages. Might have to call it pages model. Yep, there we go. So you call the pages, you call the model at the top, you just put the underscore model on and everything works fine. Now, the reason for using a model is quite simple. Here, we do a database query and we test whether we've got a number of rows. It would be much nicer if we just did this. So we just say if this page get, and then we just send the path through. If that returns something, then we're going to just do, we're just going to say this, oh no, I can actually say if this template page equals that. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a test first of all to see if this page get returns anything, and if it does, it assigns this variable to it, which is really handy to set a variable while you're testing as well, because then we can just do this run. What does it run? Single page. Else this run 404. Oh no, I just did a die. So as you can see, this is the two different methods. First of all, let me just show you them for comparison. Here we have these lines that does exactly the same as all of this, except it looks simpler. It's really nice and simple to use. Now all I have to do is move this over to the model so that we can get something. So I'm just going to cut this text and delete all the rest out of here. So now we just have this nice, short, simple 15-line function that does that. So in here we need a function called get, because that's what we called it. That's what we're going to pull it from through here. Look, this page get. Now this page is actually a reference to the model, because up here we set the name to page. So this page's model get, and we're going to send through the path. So we can do a function that says get the path. So I'm just pasted in the query that we've had, that we did last time. So this database where the path is whatever path we get sent, this database where the active is true, query is get this table. Now that's one variable we don't have in here, so I better say it in the constructor, this table equals pages. If query number of rows equals 1, now instead of setting a variable, I need to just do a return. So I just need to say return query number of arrays, query row array. Otherwise I need to return false. And this is just so that our controller knows whether or not a page got returned. Now let's save that and refresh here, and we've still got exactly the same. About us still works perfectly. That's nice because this is in a model now, and this is in a controller, which is much more along the lines of our model view controller. Now I'm going to show you how this can be extended a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this template navigation is this page nav. Sorry, there we go, this page nav. Now in the pages model, that means I need to create a new function called nav, which gets the navigation. So we could just build a really basic query for this. I'm going to ask, say, where active is true. In fact, what I need to do is I need to do a select, because I don't want every bit of information from the database about the page. So all I really want is the menu title, and I'll choose 3 pieces of information. I'll choose the title, and that's the full title of the page, the menu title, and the path, where active is true. And for now I'm going to order by the menu title. Our query is this db get from this table, and then we do a quick test. So if query number of rows is greater than 0, then we just return the result array. Otherwise we return false. That's it, nice and simple, and that'll just return an array with each item that's in the database, their title, the menu, and the path. So now we have this in this template navigation. Let's just refresh and nothing should change. But if we do a die this template navigation, I need to do a print R on that because we're printing an array. We should see there we go, yeah, that's correct. So we have the first item here, about our company, about, and the path is about us. The second item is welcome to my site. the menu title is home and the path is home, and I've actually added a third path, a third item in there. Why we were actually hard at CI, menu title is this and the path is this. So there's the 3 items that it's assigned to that array. Now, because I've assigned it to this template, that's usable straight away inside of the template. So let's just go to our header file for the main layout. And here I've got a div that's main. I'm just going to create a... First of all, let me just do a little if statement. So I'm going to say PHP if is set navigation and is not empty navigation, then we can do something. So let me end the if first. So first of all, I'm going to say that if we have something in navigation, then I'm going to open an unordered list. I'll have an ID on that as well. ID is nav. Now I can loop through the array. So PHP for each navigation as nav. So I'm going to assign the variable to nav to each one that I go through. And for each. So for every single one, I'll need to add a list item. And let's just save that. We should have here 3 blank list items. So all I've done is I've said for every single one do a list item, but I've not put anything inside of that yet. So let's change that. First thing is we want a link, and we need the link to go to the site URL. Now if we left it blank like that, it'd go to the main site URL, but instead inside here I'm going to put site URL nav path end a, and let me just put some text in the middle. I'm going to refresh this one. If you look down the bottom here in the if you keep an eye on the status bar, this one goes to about us, this one goes to home, this one goes to we rock. So you can see that it's working well. Now all I need to do is inside of here I'm just going to do echo the nav menu title. Save that and refresh. There we go, there's a nice simple little menu. And that works quite well. Now the reason that I chose the full path is, the full title, is in the A title attribute we can have that in there as a more descriptive title. So that when you hover your mouse over the link for a while, so there's rocking out, when we hover our mouse over it, it should say the full title of the page, which is useful for search engines and people as well, so to a certain extent. Okay, so there's a basic navigation. I think that's pretty much it for this screencast. So we've just to recap what we've done so far. In the config, we've made the root assignment completely dynamic, so it passes the controllers folder and adds routes for us automatically. We've moved the pages, the basic pages query to a model. Oops, let me change that, it's false. We've moved it to a model, and then we've built a new function within the model to get the navigation. And then finally we've pulled the navigation from the template and added it into a little navigation here. Now the only thing I'm going to do as final is I'm just going to pop onto our database administration. DB admin. I'm going to add a new field to the pages database. And it's very important that we do this correct, so just open up the database that you set up previously and select the CI pages table. Ignore the CI users table, that's coming next. So we are CI pages, and I actually need to edit the structure, so let me just go on the structure. Here's our all our fields. We've got ID, path, title, menu title, active. Now I'm just going to add one before active. Oh no, sorry, after body. And this is going to be called weight, and it's an integer. And we'll index that. Now what I'm going to do is weight is how heavy the item is for the menu. So let me edit the weight of this first one. So I'm going to set the weight for this to 1. That's the home page. And I'm going to set the weight to this one. This is the We Rock page. I'm just going to edit that and set the weight to 2. Don't know if that worked. I think I pressed it beforehand. No, I did. I messed that one up. Let me do that again. So the weight of this one is 2. And then finally, let me set the weight of this one to 2 as well. Sorry, what am I doing? 2, it doesn't make a difference, and that needs to be 3. Sorry, I'm miles away. Right, ID is still 2, the weight is 3. Now, what we do now is we go to the page's model, and because we know that we're going to change the database query that gets the navigation, we just open the model straight away because the model is in charge of the queries. Now, we're currently ordering by menu title. I just need to know order by weight. What will happen is the menu will rearrange itself according to the weight that we just find in the database. So let me just let me go back to the roots, and I'm just going to add a scaffolding trigger. Where's the scaffold? There we are, up the top. I'm going to add the root scaffolding trigger, scaffold. And I think in the config there's also something I need to change in here. No, maybe not. Okay, let me just have a look at the CodeIgniter user guide for scaffolding. I'm just going to go through a little bit about how useful it is if you don't have a full database administration suite or whatever. It's useful just for adding testing. So scaffolding. Enabling scaffolding, that's how we do it. So in the top of pages, the pages controller, we need to say right up top here, this load scaffolding this table. Just underneath where it assigns this table. And now when we go back to here and do pages/scaffold, I thought we'd get I think it's because in the routes I'm setting everything to pages/index/. So what I need to do, but the problem is that when I load pages/scaffold, that request is getting routed down here. And it's going to pages/index/scaffold, which is wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the index/ section, and then I'm going to open up the pages controller. So we've got a pages, and I need to force everything over to the index function. So at the bottom of the constructor, I'm just going to run this index. And what that'll say is once you've done the scaffolding, if it's not scaffolding, basically it'll load the index function. So when we refresh here, I'm supposed to get scaffolding, but I don't know why I'm not. Let me just have a quick look. scaffold. Just check I'm spelling that right. Yeah. That's rather interesting. Because I've set a route down here that routes anything, it's causing problems. See, I imagine that if I comment that out, no, it still doesn't work. Oh, that does. Okay, so there's a bit of a problem with the way that I'm doing this because I was routing everything to this index. It was overwriting the scaffolding. It was using that function instead of going to the scaffolding, and the same down here. So unfortunately, you can't really work. I'm gonna have to find a workaround for the scaffolding for next time. But I was just going to show you that you can make edits to the data using scaffolding instead. You can create a new record or whatever you want to do, really, if you don't have full database administration. So I'll find a workaround for scaffolding next week. Let me just so I'm going to uncomment the route that's set there, and I'm going to delete the scaffolding trigger, and then I'm going to leave this index. There we go. Okay, so that's everything for this week. I hope that you found that useful. As always, I'll zip the files and the SQL, and I'll put them online on FilePanda. So thanks very much for watching. My name's Elliot Hoffin. You can find my website at hoffin.com, and I also own filepanda.com, which is entirely driven by CodeIgniter. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.